Hey guys, if you want just the best of my recommendations for black authors who writes romance books, you will love this video. I have a stack here of romance books by black authors that I have read, that I have absolutely fell in love with, and they will stay on my shelf so that I can recommend them to you guys whenever I feel like I want to do some recommendations for black authors that is in the romance genre. Guys, you know I love romance, so let's get right into this video. Let me tell you guys about some of the books that I recommend by black authors that are romance books. Alright guys, so you already know these are just a bunch of romance books that is written by black authors. So they're not going to be in any particular order. We're just going to talk about them as I pull them off of my table. And I think I have a couple of them that I read on Kindle. So I will just pop up a picture of those books that I don't physically have a copy of. But the first book that we're going to talk about is a Brittany Cherry book. It's called The Mixtape. I think I read this book probably like a year or so ago, but I fell in love with this book. This book is basically about Emery and Oliver. Emery was a struggling single mother who was pretty much like an outcast from her family. She has some very deep issues going on as far as being a single mom, being financially in depression, and being like the outcast or the black swan of her family for a lot of stupid reasons. And so like when you read the book, you'll figure out what those reasons are. Oliver, he is a singer. He's a rock star singer, and he is basically just like drinking his problems away because of the death of his twin brother and what happened with that situation. So Oliver and Emery actually meet each other in a bar that Emery works at, and she was pretty much kind of like saving him from like the paparazzi, and he ended up like staying with her that night or whatever because he was so drunk. And so they just actually kind of like bonded together in a lot of ways in that way. And Emery's daughter, I forgot what her daughter's name was, but she was a major part in this book, and she was just the cutest little girl that anybody could ever see. She was smart. She knew exactly what she wanted to say and how she wanted to say it, and she just really pretty much like brought those two together, and she was just a starlight of Emery's eyes. So if you want to be able to laugh, to cry, and to have some emotional building and physical building of yourself, I would suggest reading The Mixtape by Brittany Cherry. It is such a great read. I'm gonna stick Honey and Spice in there by Babalola. It doesn't have like a lot of spicy scenes in this book, which I'm okay with that. This book is pretty much like a slow burn book, so if you don't like slow burns, you will not like Honey and Spice by Babalola. In the very beginning of the book, I think that there is like a spicy scene, and I think it's either Kiki is like over to somebody's house for a one-night stand or something like that, but then it was like there's no more other spicy parts to this book. So basically this book is about Kiki Banjo. She is in college, and she has a radio station called Brown Sugar, and she basically was just like telling the listeners of her podcast about like not falling for men who are no good. So then a guy named Malachi came to the school. All the girls was just ranting and raving about Malachi. I think Kiki was like coming out of a relationship, or she wanted to be out of a relationship, so she kind of like peeped how Malachi was, and on her radio station she was telling them like, you know, don't try to date Malachi. Malachi is this, Malachi is that. And then she actually ends up kind of like fake dating Malachi, and once her followers actually found that out, she became like a podcaster who goes back on her own suggestions and her own recommendations to her podcast listeners. So I thought this was a really cute book because of the way Malachi and Kiki actually began to know each other and, like, you know, sorted out a lot of the issues that they had within each other, if it was from family or just dating. But I think this is a very cutesy read, and like I said, it is a slow burn, so if you don't like slow burns, you will not like Honey and Spice. But it was a very cute read. I reread this book. I don't think I was in the right headspace when I read it the first time, so I ended up rereading this book and listening to it on Kindle audio. And the first time when I read it, I had a library book, so it was like I was rushed to actually read the book and listen to it as well. So I ended up buying my own copy and rereading this book, and it was a blast. The recent read that I read in this month is Behind the Scenes by Christina C. Jones. Y'all, if you love spicy reads, if you love a come up, if you love to see people overcome what their family wants them to do or what their family actually was, I feel like you would love Behind the Scenes by Christina C. Jones. This book in the very beginning has a one night stand scene in it, and I just kind of felt like it was going to be spicy throughout the whole book, but it was not spicy throughout the whole book. There was a lot of world building in this book. There was a lot of great banter. The storyline, the plot, and all was great. It does have some spicy scenes in it, but they are very mild. But basically this book is about Logan and Pierce. Logan was a girl who was actually from a family of like top lawyers, and it was kind of like for her back in the Bridgerton days when they pick who you want to marry and like they pick how your life is going to be. But Logan's head was just so headstrong for that, and she just did not want to be in that situation, so she just kind of wanted to go her own way. And she had such a strong demeanor and such a big heart that I just really fell in love with her character because she was so strong-headed and she knew exactly what she wanted, and she wasn't afraid to tell whoever, even when it came down to her father, about what she actually wanted out of life, even if it did not consist of what he wanted out of life. So Pierce, he was a guy that was actually from a battered family in a lot of ways. I want to say that his mom was like I don't remember exactly what was going on with his mom, but his father was like a drunk. So he had to overcome a lot of that in his world building as far as the career that he actually ended up having, which was, I want to say it was making movies. So he actually ended up being an orphan, and like throughout his years of growing up, he did a lot of things that he should not have done. And as he grew up in the movie industry, like some of that kind of came back to haunt him, but not really, because he had Logan by his side, who was an excellent friend and a employee. So they actually parted ways at some part in this book, and they found their way back to each other, and I just thought that was just the cutest thing. It was one scene in this book where Pierce had seen like a bracelet on Logan's arm, and he was like, I just know she's not up in here with a bracelet that this nigga gave her, like the guy Anthony that she was actually trying to date or whatever. I mean, he was just all jacked up about that bracelet because he felt like she should not have been in his home with a bracelet that was given to her from somebody else. And I was like, man, y'all don't even go together. Y'all are just workmates. So why is it that serious? So, and I just love the way he felt when he realized that the bracelet was like from some teen girls that Logan was actually helping out in a life. But y'all, if you, like I said, if you got like a great banter, if you like a great storyline, if you like you know, to see people fall in love, people be headstrong on what they want, and just stick together as a employee couple and as a possible like real couple. I feel like you guys will love Behind the Scenes by Christina C. Jones. Sorry. Another book that I would love to recommend to you guys, and I will recommend it anytime somebody asks me about a super good short book that you can read in one setting, and it is a romance book by a Black author, is Natasha Bishop, Only for the Weak. Y'all, I freaking love this book. I think Alex, the girl that is a friend of Shaughnessy, she recommended this book on one of her vlogs about over a year ago, and I actually picked this book up off of Amazon, y'all, and I was floored. This was the first time that I ever read a book by Natasha Bishop, and I don't think I have read another book by this author, but I got to get to reading one. But this book actually has a new cover to it now. I want to say I kind of feel like I'm gearing toward this cover than the new cover, because Janelle just looks so real on here, and I can understand the other cover as well, because I'm guessing that is Janelle and Rome on that cover, but I'm just not too fond of the cartoon character type deal on that cover, so I don't think I will be trying to get the new book. I will just keep this one. But anyway, so this one is about Janelle, who was a sister of the girl that they were in Tulum for. They were in Tulum for a bridal shower, pretty much. Bridal party, bridal, or they were getting married, just whatever. And she was actually getting married, her sister was actually getting married to Janelle's ex-boyfriend. So Janelle was in Tulum with her sister. She was taking a lot of slack and grief from her sister and her mom. She actually got the hookup with one of her ex-boyfriend's best friend, which was Rome, and the sparks just started to fly from there. They wanted to keep it a secret because, you know, the trip was about her sister and her ex-boyfriend getting married, so she did not want anybody and everybody to know that her and Rome was like really hitting it off, having some steamy time, sneaking in and out of each other's hotel rooms and meeting each other in different places and just things of that nature. There are some very hot scenes in this book. Janelle and Rome, they are just the perfect romance book couple. Janelle took a lot of I would say mental verbal abuse from her sister and her mom, and I was just so upset with her in this book, because it was like, at first she didn't want to step up for herself with these people. I don't care if they are your family, but when her and Rome actually got together and, you know, like they talked, they had days out, just all the things, and Rome treated her like she was a freaking queen. One scene in this book is where he rented a boat for her to actually like read her books on the boat and just like have a good day out, and he sat there and he read a book also with her. So I thought that that was just the best thing, because he was putting himself in a situation to do things that she actually really loved to do. And the storyline, the writing, the banter, the descriptive writing in this book was just the best. The best part too about this book is the way the author described the way Janelle looked, the way Rome looked, and the things that Janelle actually wore on a day-to-day basis, all the way down to her freaking accessories. So Janelle was just this pretty dark-skinned, very timid young lady that deserved so much more than what her mom and her family, her sister, was giving her. She finally got a backbone in this book, y'all, and it was explosive. And the ending of this book was just the best. So if you like a fast-paced book, if you like a book where two people get together and they are actually the perfect couple, if you like a perfect couple book, and if you like a second chance at romance book, I would highly, I gave this book a 5-star, highly suggest Only for the Weak by Natasha Bishop. Y'all, I guarantee you will love it. Moving right along, guys, we're going to talk about a book by Danielle Allen. This is actually the first book that I have read by this author. Also, have never read another book by her yet, but I loved this freaking book. This was a fast-paced book. It was a cutesy little read. It was like a fake dating trope, and it is Curvy Girl Summer. I have heard some people have mixed feelings about this book. There is a lot of people that said that they did not enjoy this book at all. This is not a 5-star read for me, but the book was very enjoyable. I think I either gave it a 3.5 or 4-star read on Goodreads because I did enjoy the concept of this book. So this book is pretty much about Aaliyah and Ahmad. As you can see, Aaliyah is a fairly big size female, and that was something that she went through with her family that I really did not like about this book. So this book has a lot of body positivity about it also, and about self-care and self-worth on Aaliyah's side. And on Ahmad, he was just this little charming local bartender who saw Aaliyah come into his into the bar that he works at, and I think I want to say like he saved her from a very bad date or something like that. That is actually like how they actually started talking and ended up with a fake dating trope. Aaliyah actually was doing like dating apps to find a man, and a lot of some of the men, or at least one of them, I remember like he actually said something about her weight and stuff like that, and I was like, dude, kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? Like, excuse me, I'm like, I feel like she is a beautiful black curvy girl, and if you don't like that, then kick rocks. So anyway, Aaliyah, she was in a fix because she had to find somebody to, I want to say, was it go to a wedding or some kind of family event with her, and so Ahmad actually ended up being that person. And with that being said, with the time that they were spending together, him trying to hook her up with this guy, that guy, or whatever, when they were in the local bar, it just really heightened his thoughts and his feelings for her, and the same with Aaliyah. So this book, it did not have the best descriptive writing in it, but it did have some descriptive writing about the spicy scene that was in this book, and just about Aaliyah as a female, and like how her body was shaped and like how she felt about herself. So I actually ended up loving the relationship that Ahmad and Aaliyah had with each other, and just the way that they complemented each other's body and just mind and soul and all the things. So this is not a slow burn book, y'all, but it is not super fast paced. So if you just like to indulge in like self-care, body positivity, and just like a man being a friend but also loving the person that he's being a friend to, and like being a big brother overprotective type guy, I think you will enjoy reading Curvy Girl Summer by Danielle Allen, because I really did enjoy this book, and I would suggest that you guys try it out. Our next book is called Rhythms Blues. I don't have a copy of the book, so I will put a picture up in the screen of this book. This was a 5-star read for me. It was by Kimberly Brown, another female black author that I absolutely loved her writing. This book was about a female named Rhythm and her high school boyfriend named Raheem. He actually became a big musician, and things started changing during the time he was a musician, which he always blamed it on, this is what the label wanted me to do. And I was like, brother, please, you know. But it was about Rhythm, it was about Raheem, and this guy named Channing, who actually owned a recording studio. So Rhythm actually got tired of the shit that Raheem was putting out, and so she decided to venture out on her own. And on a night out at the club, she met Channing. Y'all, I love this book because it has like the club scenes, and it has like some of the songs from like the 90s that they were actually listening to. And like during the time I was reading the book, I would look up that song, and the song just was such a fit for the book, and that is just what made the book so enjoyable to me. Rhythm was a black, curvy, nice shaped female who had a lot going for herself besides being a girlfriend of a musician. She worked at like a place where they get like physical and occupational therapy for people who has like Alzheimer's and things of that nature. So she had a huge nice head on her body. And also, guys, her family, her mom and her dad, let me tell you something, they did not play about their baby. There was a scene in this book, y'all. I think Channing and Rhythm and her mom and her dad was like at a basketball game, because her father was just like a lover of basketball. And so the female, that was another musician that Raheem was working with, and you'll be able to see who this female is when y'all read the book. I don't want to like disclose too much, but I can talk about this book forever. They seen her at the basketball game, and she tried to want to start trouble, but she was kind of like brushed off to not start trouble or whatever. And then it was like her mom was like, she just don't know, she was about to get jumped. I was like, okay. I was like, okay, mama, like, honey, they did not play about their baby. And I just loved that. Like, her father was ready to whoop Raheem's ass, you know what I'm saying? And when he met Channing, you know, him and Channing had their little talks or whatever, but there is spice in this book, but the spice is not overtaking, and I don't think it was in every chapter. But I am going to tell you the spice that is in the chapters, wherever it is in this book, the spices scenes are spicing. I'm not gonna lie, they are spicing. So if you don't like a very detailed description of how that spice is going, like, I don't think that you would want to read those particular scenes in this book. But if you don't mind a descriptive writing of spice, and like just feeling like, you know, you're that girl, and like you're just getting satisfied in all the, y'all will love this book. I rate this book a 5-star read, and I recommend this book to all of you. Please try Rhythm Blues by Kimberly Brown. Our next read that we really enjoy, I'm not quite sure what I gave it on Goodreads, but to me it was at first like a slow burn. But you know, I'm not the type of reader that will DNF a book, so we kept going with the book, and it is Between Friends and Lovers by Charlene. That author, I can never say her last name, but this book was fairly good. It is a easy read to get into, and like I say, if you like a slow burn, you will love this book. This book was basically about Josephine, Mal, and Ezra. Josephine was a doctor, but her life wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. Off camera, it was like Josephine's story was like, you know, she was grappling with depression and the pressures of her careers, and then in the same time she had a crush on her childhood friend. So I just felt like this book was like an eye-opener for people who is like in the medical field. Like, that pressure of that job itself is very pressuring, and like some people, they have to go through like therapy, you know, because of the field that they're in, dealing with family, dealing with death, just dealing with all the things. And she also had like some depression moments where she had to deal with what her mom had did to her and what she had going on with her mom. But then she meets Mal, and Mal is just like the perfect gentleman. He actually, you know, was in tune with how she was feeling, and just did not want to make her life no more worse than what it was. He was there for her. Like, he was there for her in every sense. He understood a lot of the things that she was going through. He understood about Ezra, but he also wanted her to know, like, hey, I'm here for you, and just don't push me away, don't treat me any kind of way, just all the things. The chapters that was in this book about Dr. JoJo talking about her mom, going to see her mom in the hospital, and like just her life as a kid, you know, dealing with her mom as growing up, was just so heartfelt for me. She went through a lot of depression states dealing with what she had to actually go through with her mom, but all in the end, JoJo, you know, she got through it. She, you know, overcame the things that she needed to overcome, as far as being the doctor, the friend that she had a crush on, the, you know, the childhood friend, and being able to allow Mel to, like, you know, be there for her. So this book is probably, I think I want to say I rated it probably like a 3 or a 3.5 star. It wasn't the best read, but the concept of this book was the best, and I really did enjoy reading this book. The next set of books that I am going to recommend to you guys is a set of books by Kennedy Ryan. If you know me, you know me. I am a huge Kennedy Ryan book reader. Her books, all of her books that I have read by her so far, have just hit in at the same time, every time, and like I was never disappointed with any of the books that I have read by this author. She is a beautiful black woman. She is very active with her community as far as her readers. She is always doing author signings at places where her readers can contact her. She is always on Facebook, Instagram, and just talking to her group of readers, and is very honest with the questions that she is asked by any of her readers, and I'm just so here for it. She has such a great spirit, and I just love that for her, and it actually shows in her books. So I have 3 of them here that I want to talk to you guys about and give you guys my recommendations for you guys to read them. These 2 right here goes hand in hand. It is This Could Be Us and Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Before I Let Go, and by the way guys, all 3 of these books was a 5-star read for me. Before I Let Go, I just so fell in love with Yasmin and Josiah. I think that's how you say his name. They were a married couple that got a divorce for reasons that I feel like they could have went to therapy for. I don't want to spoil anything, so anyway, so they got divorced for reasons that I feel like their marriage could have been saved for, like if they went through therapy and all the things. But even though they got a divorce, they were still connected at the hip because of the business that they had called Grits, and then they had 2 children together. This book has, to me, or for me, has a lot of trigger warnings in it as far as depression, postpartum depression, things of that nature. Yasmin went through a ton of depression in my sense with what actually happened to her, and then, you know, being the mother of the 2 kids of Josiah, and with them still being connected at the hip because of the business and the kids. I wasn't very satisfied with the way her daughter treated her in this book, and I was glad that actually got nipped in the butt. Her son, my heart went out to him because even though he was the quieter of the 2 kids, he actually had some mental things going on, and when it was actually brought to his father's attention, I was very proud of Josiah of the way he handled it. handle it, because it was actually also something that he needed as well. So Josiah and Yasmin, of course, they were trying to date other people. They did not like that they were dating other people, because I feel like they were just still in love with each other, and they got divorced off of false pretenses. So toward the end of the book, they just couldn't hold it away from each other anymore. So toward the end of the book, it started to get a lot more spicy, and I was just so here for it. Yasmin and Josiah, I was just, throughout the whole book, I was just so ready for them to just cut everybody loose and just get back together. And I was just like, y'all, I know y'all love each other. I know y'all feel this, that way about each other, because you can't stand to see each other with somebody else, and just all the things, guys. So this book was a very nice read for me. And then we went to This Could Be Us Again by Kennedy Ryan, Soledad and Judah Cross. And this book was the best. They were the best gentle relationship that I've ever seen in a book by Kennedy Ryan so far. Her husband, Soledad's husband, like, I was glad that what happened to him, because he was not a good person, and he was not my favorite character in the beginning of this book. So I was glad whatever happened with him happened, because I don't know if I could have like read about him through this whole book in the sense of being with Soledad. So Soledad, she actually, you know, she was married to this guy who actually was, like, I guess, the breadwinner for the family, because Soledad, she wasn't working. I think she was trying to do like her social media type deal or whatever. And Judah, he was hired by the company that Soledad's husband worked. So Judah Cross was actually the guy that was hired or worked at the office that Soledad's husband worked at, and he was hired to make sure that there was like no money laundering and like the numbers looked good. And Judah, he was very, very good at what he does. And another thing that I liked about Judah that really made me fall in love with him as a character is that he had kids that had disabilities, and the way he handled his kids, or his kid that had this disability, was just the best thing ever to me, because I have worked with kids who have disabilities, and they do have their meltdowns when they can't get what they want, just all the things. And he did not mind. He loved his boys. He took his boys out in the community, and he did his best as a father to those kids, and he was just so soft-spoken to those kids at any time. And he was not a total jerk to his ex-wife either. So I just thought that Judah was just a perfect gentleman. Soledad, she did not have time to, when her husband actually went like poof in the clouds, she did not have time to like dwell over it, like be depressed about it, because she had kids that she still had to keep a roof over their heads. So her girlfriends, you know, joined in to help her out with the situation that she had going on. And I just thought that was the best thing, because a lot of people have friends that is just not the type of friends that that person probably think those people are. But these girlfriends of hers, they paid for things, they gave her money, and just all the things, guys. And I just think that that was just the best part of Soledad having the support that she needed, let alone, believe it or not, now she had the support of Judah Cross as well. And the things that he did for her, y'all, it was just amazing. Like, you know, she needed groceries, and I think she had crumpled up like a grocery list or something, and he actually saw the grocery list, and he had like the groceries, you know, delivered to her house, and you know, just all the things of being such a loving gentleman and a possible husband in my eyesight. So Soledad, she was very reluctant to like take the things that Judah Cross was trying to, you know, give her as far as in support. But he was very honest with her. He let her know that like he can't do anything about what her husband is going through, and just like all the things. Now it was one part in this book that I was like, Soledad, girl, go girl, because I think she had got so upset with her husband and things of that nature, and like I guess it was like so-called his man cave, and she went in there and she just literally like just destroyed the place. And I was like, way to go, great way to make a get out that frustration, just, you know, all the things. And I just really did enjoy This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. We will never not talk about Real by Kennedy Ryan. This is the third book that I would recommend to you guys by a Black author. This book was great. I enjoyed everything about this book. I was sad at some points in this book, and I was mad at some points in this book, and I just felt like, you know, I just wanted to get my life together along with Nivea, I want to say is the name of the character in this book. I can never say her name, but she was awesome in this book, guys. Even though she had been through a lot from high school days up until the end of this book, she was a very strong woman, and she liked her independency, and she just wanted to be more than what any or everybody thought that she would be. So I think his name was Cannon. He actually like saw her. He actually like made movies, and one day he saw Nivea. She was like, I think, doing an acting scene or something like that, or whatever her job consisted of, and he saw her and he just said, she got to be in my film. Regardless, he didn't care if like the producer, you know, wanted the character to be in his film. He was like, I gotta have her. And of course the producer was like, you know, he don't think that, you know, she would be a good part for it. And Cannon, one part that I loved about Cannon was that he was like, okay, this is my work, this is the character that I want, and if we cannot have this character, then you will not produce my work. Okay, Cannon, that's what I'm talking about. So this book, it was, I can't say it was a slow burn for me in the very beginning, because it felt like it had my feet hit the ground and just start running. The things that Nivea went through in this book was just so heartbreaking and so sad to me. I don't want to spoil anything in here for you guys, but what happened to her and what she actually had to go through, I felt like she was just so strong in that situation, and like she had the support from Cannon, who was just the perfect gentleman. Cannon actually got his name because his mom actually loved like cameras, or like, I guess, like, you know, cameras and stuff like that. So she actually named him Cannon, and I just thought that was the cutest thing. There is some spice in this book, but not too heavy at all. The relationship between Nivea and Cannon, as far as personal and professional, was very, very personal and professional. So I did like that they kept their personal life and their professional life separate. This book is actually almost 500 pages long, but it is a quick read. You will want to know what's happening in the next chapter, and I guarantee you that you will enjoy this book. I think this is the newer cover of Real, and I'm just here for it because I just love the way that this book looks. And during the time that you read this book, if you come back and look at like the front of the book and look at Nivea, who I'm thinking that this is, you will actually be able to see the descriptive writing and the building of how Kennedy Ryan does to make her characters look and seem so real to you. That is just what I love about reading a Kennedy Ryan book. And also, like with This Could Be Us, if you actually read this book, read the descriptive writing of how Kennedy Ryan is actually describing the characters in this book, you will be able to see this person that is on the front of this book. And even though she doesn't have Judah on there, you will still be able to like picture Judah as a person in this book, just like you would be able to picture Cannon in the book as who he is actually, or what he actually looks like. I have listened to all 3 of those books on audio, and I think she uses like the same people in her books as far as reading them, and the voices and the way they, you know, high pitch, low pitch, all the things on how they read the words in her writing is just the best. I feel like if you don't have a great narrator for your audiobooks, like your audiobooks will not sell as much as your physical books is. But guys, I really did enjoy these books. It is Before I Let Go, This Could Be Us, and Real by Kennedy Ryan. If you have not read a Kennedy Ryan book, go to the bookstore, Books A Million, Barnes and Noble, indie bookstore, whatever bookstore, and get your hands on a Kennedy Ryan book. What would be the first Kennedy Ryan book that I would suggest that you guys read if you've never read one? I would suggest Real. I honestly would suggest that you guys read Real first if you have never read a Kennedy Ryan book, because like I said, it is not a slow burn, but it's not a quickly fast-paced book, and she doesn't linger in each chapter to the point of like, we're gonna say let's just move on, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a fast-paced but not a fast-paced book. So if you've never read a Kennedy Ryan book, pick up Real and read this book, and then I guarantee you that you will want to read every other book that this author has came up with. A book written by Maya Arel, When I Think of You. I would suggest that you guys read this book as a Black author romance book. I think I gave this book a 4.5 star or a 4 star out of 5 stars with this book. If you like Kennedy Ryan's writings, I believe that you will really enjoy reading this book. The beautiful love quotes that they have in this book is just so outstanding. I love the way the author actually pay attention to more deeper life aspects in this book. The female main character in this book, I just enjoyed the way she did not just throw her life away in her dreams because of a wanted to be relationship, and like she realized what her worth was in the workplace. I love to see how her confidence grew in herself and how she began to have more confidence in her decisions as the story progresses. The romance in this story felt so honest and so realistic. It was obvious that they cared deeply for one another, even in the present of when they were actually in this book, just like they did when they were together in the past. I could just say wow about this book, y'all. This book is a lyrically beautiful, quote written book, and I just really did enjoy reading this book. The last book that I would want to talk to you guys about as far as a recommended read will be The Kiss Countdown by Etta Edison. This book was a fluffy, fun read. The sworn worthy moments in this book, which were the hiking scene and the romantic outdoor dating, was just everything, and like the gestures at the end was just even the best. Such a perfect, literally just a perfect fluffy read in my opinion. The book didn't have as much dialogue in it as I like to see in my books as far as a romance book, but overall the book was just so stinking good. It was about Amari and Vincent, and I want to say it was pretty much like a fake dating trope that they were actually in. And Amari was like a events planner and Vincent was like an astronaut. The way Vincent like was so attentive to like the things that Armani did not like, or like just say like the scene of like when she was allergic to dogs and like his sister would bring the dog to the little get-togethers and stuff like that. He was very adamant about that. He was such a perfect gentleman, y'all, and the things that he said and the gestures that he did was just the best. The one thing that I really loved that Vincent did was that when she actually moved into his place, he had a guest room that, you know, of course nobody ever stayed in because he was either at work, and when he was not at work he was most likely sleeping in his office. And so he only had one room set up, which was his bedroom. The guest room was pretty kind of dusty, this, that, and the other. So like it kind of alerted Armani's allergies and, you know, stuff like that. So he was like, well, this place is really not set up for anybody to live in. So he actually let her sleep in his bedroom. And she was like, no, I don't want to intrude to that point of like sleeping in your bedroom. And, you know, and he was like, well, most of the time I'm sleeping in my office anyway. And like they were on the road trip going to some event for his mom. And I guess he kind of like listened to like the different snacks, or kind of paid attention to like the different snacks that she liked. So he brought her some snacks for the road, and he didn't even give her a chance to say like, no, I don't want those or whatever. He just, you know, threw the bag in the car and then like went around and started pumping gas. This book is a very fluffy, just nice read. And if you want a short book, something that it will make you laugh, something that will just make you giddy, I would suggest The Kiss Countdown by Etta Ediston. Last but not least, guys, I have to show you guys the two books that I got from my local bookstore here in my city. I am a part of a book club on YouTube. So that book club's name is Lovey Readers Book Club. She posted that one of our local authors was at the bookshelf giving a book signing. So of course your girl Yolandas Books had to venture on up there and show the support for our local Black authors and just our local authors period, and a fellow book club member. So this is her book. It is called A Tapestry of Fatherly Love by Marissa Taylor. I have never read a book by this author. I think this is actually her first book, and she said that she was actually working on her second book as of now. So I am so proud of Marissa Taylor, and I was just so grateful to show my support for her first book. It says, in A Tapestry of Fatherly Love, the author, Marissa Taylor, unfolds the narrative of a complex father-daughter relationship woven from the threads of absence, reunion, and transformation. Writing from the heart, Taylor explores the rich tapestry of her life, marked by her father's painful absence and the love that ultimately bridged years of silence. From the void left by a missing father figure to the unexpected joy of their reunion and the bittersweet reversal of roles through caregiving, this story is a heartfelt tribute to the imperfections and resilience that shapes our lives. Taylor's journey through love, loss, and the building of a legacy offers universal insights into the intrigues of families and affections, reminding us that the most intriguing and beautiful design often emerge from the most unexpected patterns. Dive into this emotional odyssey to discover the healing power of forgiveness and the indomitable strength of familia bonds. And copyright is 2024. And she actually also signed this book. Remember, she was there for a book signing. It says, to Yolanda, thank you so much for your support. Best wishes, Marissa Taylor. So, girl, I'm so proud of you. I am so excited for you. And I cannot wait to see your next book that you are writing. The second book that I picked up from this bookshelf was Good Dirt by Charmaine Wickerson. I'm sorry, Charmaine Wickerson. I have been seeing this book all over Book Talk, TikTok, YouTube. Everybody is talking about that they have read this book. I have not seen any bad ratings or any bad reviews as far as just listening to people talk about this book as of yet. They didn't have it in paperback at my local bookstore, so I ended up buying it in a hardback book. But it's called Good Dirt by Charmaine Wickerson. She is also the best-selling author of Black Cake. I want to say I read Black Cake, but I didn't really like it. And then there was a RN at my job that asked me had I read Black Cake. And I have, but it just wasn't my best read. She suggested that I read it again. So I will be reading, I will be reading Black Cake again by this author. But this is called Good Dirt. Y'all, when I was standing in the bookshelf reading this, just a little bit of the synopsis of this book, I read the first little small paragraph and I closed the book and I was like, I am going to get this book, because that was a very first interesting paragraph. It says, sometimes the only way forward is to look back. When 10-year-old Ebony Friedman heard the gunshot, time stopped. When she saw her brother Baz, B-A-Z, on the floor, suddenly surrounded by shattered pieces of a treasured heirloom, her life felt shattered as well. And I was like, so let me go to the first chapter in this book and read just a little bit of I think it was the prologue. And it says, 1 month before, shh, her brother says. She's giggling. She can't help it. She tears off a piece of sticky tape and hands them over. Just as her brother finishes the tape, their mother calls from outside. One day she will remember them dashing out of the room together, fingers gummy with adhesive, and despite everything, she will smile. And so then I go ahead and go to the very first chapter of this book, and it says Shattered. 2000. Later, the retired couple would tell the police they had ran over to the Friedman place after hearing the shots. Their exact words would be, shots rang out. But that was just a phrase that people of the generation had picked up from watching television. On the TV news, people were always saying shots rang out. In the old detective show, shots were always ringing out. At the box office, Rambo and the Terminator, Supersol and Shaft had all made buckets of money by making shots ring out. But this was real life in a town with one of the lowest crime rates in the nation. Few people around here had a vocabulary suitable to situations like this. The space from houses began what it was these parts. It was unlikely that everyone else living around Windward Road would have heard the shots, which did not, in fact, ring out as much as a dull crack crack sound. So that was very, I don't know, it just made me want to see what the book actually is about. So I'm going to read the synopsis. The crime never solved. Ever since the Friedmans, one of the only black families in a well-to-do enclave in New England, have dreaded becoming the center of another media frenzy. But when now grown Ebony high-profile romance falls apart, that's exactly what happens. Ebby flees to France only for her past to follow. As she proceeds As she processes the shock, she begins to think about the other loss her family suffered that day. The stoneware jar had been in their family for generations, brought north by an enslaved ancestor. Soon Ebony realizes that the handcraft piece held more than just their family history. It might also be the key to claiming a new future. Witterson traces the reverberation of a crime, the fracturing of a family, and the massage choice with face when we try to ease the wounds of the past and grapple the fragments of the inheritance with its weaving of voices and defeat, maybe through time and place. Good Dirt showcases Witterson's signature style and mastery of her craft, confirming her place as one of the most exciting novelists writing today. So guys, I hope this book is good. If you guys have actually read this book, drop it down in the comments. Let me know what y'all feel about this book. As y'all know, a hardback book is a very expensive book, so I hope my thoughts live up to the hype of this book, and I just did not waste money buying this book, because I have wasted money buying a hardback book and the hardback book was trash to me. So guys, that is the end of this vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. I hope you guys stayed to the end of this vlog. If you did stay to the end of this vlog, please in the comments drop a book emoji. That way I can know how many people actually stayed to the end of this vlog. And guys, I so appreciate your support. I appreciate everything that you guys do for me as far as confidence, support, book recs, and just all the things, guys. And until next time, love, Yolandas Books. Bye guys.